I pressed live. We will see if this actually works.
Let's
Alright.
hope it does.
It's saying it's connected. That's a good sign.
Live stream offline.
Alright, I see.
Okay, well, I think we're alive.
Alright, yeah, okay. Looks like we're good.
All right. Hello. Welcome to the totally December 2020 anime podcast. The year is 2020 right now. It is definitely 2020, and it is definitely December. There wasn't it totally was not difficult scheduling during the holidays, and we totally didn't have to delay it until January.
This is all pre-recorded, even though that we're going to be talking to the live chat if there is one.
Yeah, today is the 35th of December 2020, and it's not over yet.
Oh, here's the deal, all right? The live chat is also pre-recorded, and if you are typing in the live chat, your life is a lie, and you don't exist. You are a pre-programmed program designed to type in the live chat, and you will cease to exist as soon as the podcast is over.
Yeah, this is a simulation, bro.
Anyway, why don't everyone introduce themselves? I'm, of course, Neo Tokyo Tempo.
I am Getsuryu, or Josh.
Yeah,
Sugar mostly.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Sugar mostly.
And me and you want to hear being Kirill Neko. Or just Neko.
Striker Red here. What's up, bitches?
All right. So, for December, we decided to watch Oregairu Season 2. We've already covered Season 1. Season 3 we'll cover eventually, but people seem to like our Season 1 podcast, so, double down on success and get going. So, Oregairu is about Hachiman, who is a high school boy who really he's a loner, and he's really cynical, and his teacher decides to put him in the help club, the volunteer club, in which he has to help people with whatever their problem is. And this pairs him up with Yukino, who is also quite cynical, but in a slightly different way. And they immediately start clashing. And enter Yui, who is a more traditional anime girl kind of archetype.
Yeah, she's the ray of sunshine in the darkness is the group.
Yeah. And that's sort of the setup. They have a there is like some sort of romantic tension, but it's not really clear at this point what's going to happen. And but in Season 1 they kind of clash with each other and slowly grow to kind of be friends a little bit. And in Season 2 we get sort of an expansion on that. We'll talk more about the plot later, of course, much later in the podcast. So anyway, what do you guys think about the animation? Any takers?
So, I was kind of trying to compare it to Season 1. This is where, like, this is kind of like also like a practice for us, because there's so many amazing Season 2s coming out next season. So it's also kind of important to see if they did step up. And in animation, I think they actually did step up a little bit. It just, the animations were a little cleaner. It looks like they got a little bit more funding, and they started funneling it into getting the facial expressions to be shown more. They were able to play off the animations a little bit better, to play off the awkward silences. There was a few parts that they did really good work, but there was also a couple things that it seems like they went a little too far with. Like they had an episode where they went to an aquarium and they had the shark tank, and it looked like they were using like CG mixed in, and like the sharks looked terrible, but or at least like terrible clashing with them. Um, but I think animation wise, they actually did step up from season one, and it does look a lot better.
The what I what I noticed is a lot of scenes where they're just sitting in the club room. Hachiman says something, and then both Yukino and Yui uh, will respond with this sort of particular like surprised face, especially Yui. Um, it's sort of glassy-eyed, surprised face, and it seems like it's something that happens over and over and over again. And it's kind of the same face over and over again. There's not like really much variation. But it is done well. You can tell what she's she's feeling, or why. You can kind of infer, what's going to happen based on that face she is making. And most of the facial expressions I think are done pretty well. They the emotions that the characters are feeling are uh, communicated to the audience in a way that feels pretty natural. There was even a scene where two characters are completely in silhouette while there's fireworks happening, and so you can't see their faces, but based on their body language, you could tell what's happening. You could almost hear what they're saying, um, based on their body language.
If there's something I had to say, it's not really animation work, but it's more the likes of the landscape as a whole, especially the Kyoto episodes.
What about it?
I honestly like the way they replicated a lot of the monuments from the city, and especially that one part were in the bamboo forest, which is actually a very good touch. The CGI, however, holy fucking shit! I am the only one who ever noticed this. But the teacher's car, that Aston Martin has terrible rear offset on the wheel. It looks like it looks like somebody moved the diff. Like they narrowed the diff. I'm not gonna talk about cars here, but I'm gonna say that 3D CGI was poorly done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seemed like they got a budget to do CGI and didn't know what to do with it, is really what that looked like.
Yeah, it really I don't know. It's kind of standard fare with modern anime, especially more down to earth kind of high school stuff like this. High school rom-com. It's really what you would think of with stereotypical 3D CG in an anime like this. So whatever you think it looks like, with it kind of being there and kind of sticking out like a sore thumb, but kind of ignorable. That's what it looks like. It's no SSSS Gridman.
It's such a shame because like the CG moments just ruin the rest of the animation, which again I said it like there was like a slight upgrade. from season one. Like it looks better, it feels better. Like all the scenes kind of like bring more emotion out of you. But then you see like this one CG moment, and you're like, well, that's terrible. And like you remember the CG moment more than these other really high end moments. So
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, CG like this, this anime came out, this season came out in like 20,
2015.
20,
2015. Uh, they're still using CG in the same way, in modern shows, and it's probably not going to go away. Unfortunately.
it's sad. Yeah.
It's just the reality of the situation in the first place.
Yeah. Let's see. Anyone else have any takes about the animation?
I mean, I don't
It
think it
looked about
changed.
average for me. I agree with the CGI doesn't look good.
All right.
And yeah, the animation's only a slight step up from season one.
Yeah.
Neko, what about you?
Not much. I mean, I was watching. I was looking at the whoever done that thing, and turns out that quite a few people have done the director's animation who also worked on like pretty much anything else from that season. The animation director Kei Oikawa, for example, he was working on Ume Monatsu and Technolize and like key animation and stuff. I mean, it's a standard issue thing. It's like nothing out of the ordinary. Kind of same-ish, really.
Yeah.
That's the same guy who directed Outbreak Company, so just like, there's nothing here really.
Yeah. All in all, the animation's about what you would expect from a modern high school rom-com anime. So
Well, I would say it's slightly above average because they poured quite a lot of money into the film. But and it kind of shows. But at the same time, I don't know how the hell they spread the thing in terms of budgeting.
Neko, can I add something real quick? It ends up the animation that the company that did the entirety of this series is also responsible for Kyokusuri or Respector. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, Inspector. Yeah, what's called Brain Space. Yeah, that's the one.
So they actually did switch.
Wait, no, this one is Phil, Studio
Yeah,
Phil.
yeah. So Brain Space did season one, or yeah, Brain Space, and then Field did season two.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Now I
switching
see it.
studio doesn't really mean much. It's just like,
yeah.
They
It
changed
just-
a couple of the producers and stuff too. So just
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
it doesn't really change much because you still have a committee that, is overall the same.
Yeah.
The only thing that changes is the technological base on which they're making the actual animation. So, but about 60% of the staff also switched around, but again, a lot of them freelancers. That's the reality of situation on pretty much any animation period, or not even only animations everywhere. So it doesn't really make any difference.
Yeah.
Oh, so they pretty much pulled the same shit from One Punch Man because the first season was Madhouse, and then A1 took over the animation process for season 2.
Yeah, it's whoever bids I guess the lowest price in this case.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
And
So
then
that's,
also Rise Rome. Yeah.
So that's us with the animation. All right. Let's go to the sound design. I'll start off. I didn't really like the opening theme, but I did. There's this. Now we have a common theme in this podcast where we keep running into soundtracks that are kind of forgettable. But there was one piece in the soundtrack that I actually quite liked. It was a very bluesy piano piece that would play in some of the lighter-hearted scenes. And it almost sounded like one of the guitar pieces from Cowboy Bebop. which is which is actually quite a praise to bestow upon any piece from any soundtrack.
Yeah, I honestly, I think I know what song you're talking about. Um, and like there was two pieces throughout the entire anime that I liked, and then like I enjoyed the opening theme, the closing theme not as much, but eh. The opening theme was at least like decent. But yeah, there was that bluesy song in it, and then there was like one that was like more piano based. That was like uh a little nicer, and yeah, like I'd say those two.
Well, like the one I was talking about, it was blues piano.
Yeah, there was one. It was more of just like it wasn't blues. It was like I'm trying to remember. It's just like cheerful.
Yeah.
So like there was like two really nice songs throughout the soundtrack that I enjoyed at least. So
Oh, my turn. Oh yeah, yeah. Truth be told, the intro was a lot. The intro and the opening and ending theme are actually were actually how should I say this? They were actually better than the previous season, but I did recognize something on like the final episode. They used the piano cover of the intro for the first season, which I know like this hello, hello, alone, and all that joke.
That's actually a pretty good idea. It sort of
Yeah, it's a
gives a sort of emotional equity where fans of the first season, especially if they liked the intro, uh they hear this callback to the first season's intro, but in a piano piece.
yeah. They also did the
And
same thing with the outro. They also did the same thing with the outro as well. I
yeah,
did.
yeah, and it you know it sort of rewards people for sticking around because they sort of get this nostalgia from the first season. Um, Also, reusing tracks and or reusing pieces but playing them in a slightly different manner is just kind of how you make soundtracks. You kind of see that in like really any really good soundtrack.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was a very good callback personally because the rest was just. I mean, if there was something that was pissing me off, it was that one. All these voices talking about it regarding the meeting for the school festival. Like these sounded more like a business meeting than anything else. Holy shit! There's just the one character who's been constantly repeating the word "breach, breach," like over and over. Like
Yeah,
she's literally sucking this guy's dick. Like, God damn, dude.
I did like this one part where Hachiman was thinking to himself, and before he was done thinking out one line, the next line would start, so his voice would like overlap it with itself. He's like almost interrupting himself.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a pretty neat trick, and it really helped to encapsulate the sort of turmoil that's happening within his head.
It
Honestly,
also kind of like shows that he's having a thought process, and he has to like he has to say something faster than he can fully think it out sometimes too. Um, which it's like if he used to just stay quiet the entire time until he'd have like an idea of what he wanted to say, but now he's jumping quicker. He's starting to like break out of that shell of his. That was part of the other point of that. It seemed like.
it could it could be confused as a sensory overload, which is something that is quite evident if you're in the autistic spectrum. No,
I
I am
think
not joking.
on the spectrum, but okay, go on.
Maybe it's just me because I am on that shit. But that's actually how I felt like regarding that thought process. It looked more like a sensory overload. Hachiman was not totally confused, but he could. We'll talk about the character later on. So, not much regarding the sound department, as usual.
Yeah. Yeah. Sugar or Neko, do you guys have any takes?
I'm not really into listening to soundtrack itself. Mainly, it
It
sounds
could be soundtrack or it could be
yeah,
general
like
sound design.
sound design is. I mean, it's a reasonably well done show, so sound design is pretty much the same. People who work on that thing, they're fine. I mean,
It's
the
average from me.
yeah, it's not that bad. I mean, the guy who was a sound director is Satoshi Motoyomo, and prior to this, he did like Bartender, for example, or Beelzebub, or 91 Days. Those are better shows than this for reasons. The problem, I think, is this is like too average show for really. And
Yeah.
the sound design and in general soundtrack and especially theme, the opening, I mean, it kind of does the same. Nothing out of the ordinary. The only thing I've noticed is that the first season had a lot more, I guess, comedic themes. Like the opening was way more comedic, setting a slightly different tone than this one. This one was more, I guess, dramatic and romantic in a way, but that's about it. So there's nothing beyond that I've noticed.
All right, all right. Let's move on. Let's jump into the characters where you start, get into the meat of it.
Uh, I think we're gonna have to end up with Hachiman Hikigaya, Yuki Nashita, and Yuki Yuihama. In other words,
Yeah.
Yuki no Yui and Hachiman.
Yeah. We can well, we obviously can't cover every character, but
The thing is, regarding a lot of the characters that they ended up helping out in season one were they were nearly non-existent. You know, like they had a couple of lines here and there, but outside that, it was severely focused on four characters: Iroha, Hachiman, Yukino, and Yui. That was
I'd say I'd say Hayato got quite a bit
oh
as
yeah.
well.
Oh yeah, the Hayato and what was this other dude's name? Toby. There we go, Toby.
Yeah.
Toby had an arc as well.
Yeah, Toby did have an arc, but I think Hayato I think his arc really it did more to serve Hayato, and I think I think he got more development overall.
And then
Like,
Yumiko also had an arc. Who was the blonde girl who was in love with Hayato?
Kind of.
well,
Kind
I
of.
mean, if we're gonna go through like all like the people in class 2F, like, I guess, uh, are we reviewing this as separate from the first one, or are we gonna be just going over all the character as a whole?
Well, we
Uh,
Take a
we kind
long.
of went. I mean, we would have gone through the characters in the first podcast. So
Yeah.
if anyone here is watching, if
Go
anyone
ahead.
here watching wants to know about characters in the first season go there.
Yeah, so
Um,
I was gonna say maybe just focus on like their character development going into season 2. So we can
Yeah,
talk about how
That's gonna be tough then.
well, we can talk about like how Hayama went from showing that like he was just this nice, sweet person that everyone liked, and now he's like showing that like he has some like really fucked up secrets. Like he's not allowed to choose his own paths, and that he's struggling with that while also being very selfish to try and keep all of his friends together because he doesn't like change.
mm,
yeah. When I noticed that Hayato said that he was not as nice as people thought he was.
Yeah, essentially a
Yeah,
hypocrite.
yeah, yeah. Basically, when I thought was,
you know,
uh,
I thought it was interesting that Hayato and Hachiman said they hated each other.
yeah,
But for people that hate each other, they sure do. They sure do get together and have a lot of friendly conversations together.
just
Essentially
because you hate somebody, it doesn't mean you don't respect them.
Well, it's I think Hayama like he sees something about so this is at
About
least my
Hachiman,
yeah at least this is my theory going into season 3, which is Hayama actually is like in love with Yukino, and then because he sees uh Hachiman's relationship with Yukino, like he is jealous of that. um
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because there's that part where the rumor was spread about Hachiman, or not Hachiman, Hayato and Yukino dating, and nobody could figure out who spread the rumor.
Yeah. And this goes a little bit more into that, which is uh this is all theory. I haven't uh gotten that far into season 3, but Yukino says that her mom decides everything. Hayama also says that they were childhood friends. There's a good chance that there's an arranged marriage, and they're kind of
Hmm.
forced. So he's not allowed to date any girl, and
Yeah, because Hayato's mom, or parents, or somebody, probably his parents, uh, don't allow him to make his own decisions as well.
yep. So I think there's that going on. And then everything around that is just no one knows what's going on because neither of them will say that that's the case. But and if that is the case, again, this is just my theory, and it kind of made the most sense. All of the other pieces kind of line up to he rejects all the girls. He's not allowed to like anyone. Um, Whenever he said that he had a crush on a girl in season 1, he said that her name started with a Y. Um,
Yeah.
so it
hold
all
on.
kind of adds up to that. So he's jealous of Hachiman of not being able to have the same relationship with the girl that he's either in love with or arranged to marry.
Hold on. Wait a minute. There is something. There is something that is actually interesting about Yukino regarding the character development, and that is between her relationship with her mother and what she says to her.
Yeah, Yukino, her mother. Now her mother, uh, more or less allows Yukino to just kind of do whatever she wants, but it's only after uh her mother sees her hanging out with Hachiman that she then goes to try to stamp down and take control. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that part let me thinking. Is she actually going to let her, you know, going her own path, or is she going to follow the family tradition? That is a very difficult decision.
Yeah. So it's you have like themes, and then we'll get into the plot here in a second. But like you can see like these character developments make more sense once you sit down and you think about it. If you're just watching the show straight through and you miss a couple of these elements, you miss a couple of like the Japanese culture behind this, and such. Like a lot of this just kind of seems like, well, why are they arguing? Why are they fighting? But the more you think about it, this is like one of those shows that you kind of realize things a little afterward, which is one of the more fun things. Then you can rewatch it and then catch things again.
Oh, and then there's what? And then there's Yui's uncertainty in one of the arcs. Like basically, in the case that she is as worried about the future of the trio as the if you know if since this is like their last year in high school.
Yeah. Do you think Yui might know something that Hachiman doesn't? Because we're seeing this whole thing through the eyes of Hachiman.
I don't think she knows. But I think that she knows more than him, is what I'll say. I think that she just kind of realized like, oh, your entire life is being dictated to you. You need to learn to step out of your shell and be honest with what you want and what something genuine is. And then Hachiman has no idea what a genuine conversation is, while Yui has had genuine conversations with her mom. Her mom have a really good home, uh, like life and conversations, and they talk about everything. And you can tell that with that one scene whenever they were at her house.
Yui's mom has MILF energy, like straight up.
you
Not gonna lie.
you only see her like once and briefly, and she seems very very excited that she brought Hachiman home,
It's like
which I found pretty funny.
it was funny because it's like, oh, like she brought Hachiman home with another girl, and it's just like, oh, the other girl doesn't even exist, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, who are you? Oh, are you not dating him? Okay, cool, yay, hello. You have become not a threat.
Well, maybe she's desperate to get grandkids.
Yep. Which, again,
ASAP.
Japanese culture right here.
Yeah. I mean, how old are they? Like 16?
Oh, I mean, they're going into
17.
Yeah, I think they're 17.
That sounds about right.
Yep,
Yeah, seniors in high school.
seniors in high school. Yep.
And
Yeah.
then there's and then there's the how should I say this? Then there's Hachiman's quote unquote middle school quote unquote friend, who the guy claimed that she claimed that she had a crush on him, and then she starts laughing at him
Yeah.
whenever she doesn't take the guy seriously. You know what? There is something I actually did like about the show. The fact that Hayato, the absolute meddler, actually stood up to those two and shut them the fuck up.
Yeah. He does that even though he supposedly doesn't even like Hachiman.
Yeah, but even I would have to say the same thing. Shut the fuck up, you fucking bitch. Do you really think you give a shit about Hachiman? You really think you give a shit about what the man actually feels? Really?
So
Yeah.
here's another part of that. And this goes a little bit into it. I can't remember her name.
What was her name?
Yukino's older sister.
Haruno.
Haruno. Did you
Haruno
notice?
being the vindictive bitch like she is like she was in the first season.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Josh.
But did anyone notice that Haruno can completely control Hayama, like with everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
She-
like that's where I'm not fully sure about like what the relationships are supposed to be, because I thought Hayama was supposed to marry the older sister. and then it might be that like he's actually supposed to marry the younger sister for like whatever reasons, and then
Is it
there's like
ever
a
really
bad
brought
battle.
up about this arranged marriage?
It's never brought up that, but like how close he is with them, and like how he's treated by them, kind of like shows that there's something deeply going on between the two families that we have no idea about. But like
Yeah.
he is completely controlled, where it's like, hey, you're gonna go on this date and tell these girls off because I want to see what happens.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I found her
and
name. Kaori Orimoto.
yeah,
That's the chick who hired to shut down.
Yeah, I want to quickly segue into Hachiman himself, and who he is, and what his development is, and all of that. Just for time concerns,
yeah.
because we gotta get through this segment. We can't get through this segment without bringing this up.
The main character, yeah.
Yeah,
It's kind of funny because like all like the main character developments were all around him, and then like it's him growing off of their character developments too.
yeah. Well, Hayato, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, he's very cynical. He he's always quote unquote reading between the lines and assuming ulterior motives to basically every decision that the people around him make. Um, and he assumes this. And I don't know exactly. It's not really explained exactly why he assumes this. Maybe they'll get into that later. But he does assume this, and he looks at everything from this analytical perspective. And
Hachiman is
he,
uh, Hachiman is either autistic or the man is very analytical, like very
well,
rational.
he is definitely very analytical. In fact, his way of viewing other people, um, actually, it makes a lot of sense. And he's very, very good at understanding what people are thinking, but he's terrible at empathizing with other people and understanding about how they feel.
All right, and then there's the and then there's the fact that Hachiman is also not very good with his feelings because as you will see in a couple of episodes, he starts he breaks down. He kind of breaks down in one of the episodes. He's very unsure of what he needs to do. Like there are some things that are way out of his control.
Yeah, and Hachiman, you know what? Hachiman is probably very, very scared of things not being in his control, which is probably why he's so reserved and untrusting of other people, or at least part of it.
No. You're right. It is in fact a trait of this. It is in fact. Uh, it is in fact confirmed that a lot of people have a very, very poor lack of judgment when it comes to the people around them.
Yeah, most people have a very poor, uh, have poor
Judgment.
judgment,
Yeah, poor
but
judgment character.
Hachiman has good judgment, but but also a warped judgment of other people.
Yeah,
He just
I was
doesn't calculate like that people can be emotional too, and that they can have an emotional response. So it's like he's like, oh well, they usually fall in this category, and I can kind of figure out like what I can do about that. But also throughout the entire thing, he slowly starts to not be as self-sacrificing and trying to figure out how to get people to fix their own problems while still like assisting them.
Yeah.
Basically, the man feels that he lacks purpose in life, and that is a very real fear. I can assure you, we all thought stuff like this. We all thought that we lack a purpose.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Sugar or Neko? Well, what are your 2 cents on this?
Well, I mean, I think you probably discussed all the things that there was. Um, I don't know. Okay, I don't really like the story that they try to bring here because not only it's boring to actually watch, but it doesn't have any, I guess, neither comedy nor romance to begin with. And the only thing that I would like really focus on is I think episode 5 to 6 where they have like a student council thing. That's probably the only highlight of the entire season.
Like, what are your takes on Hachiman as a character,
Uh,
and maybe even build off of what we were saying?
well, I think he's kind of pathetic loser, honestly.
Wow.
And I know, hot take. I just don't like him. He tries to act like an adult in some cases, but it shows that he cannot. Like, it's kind of above his pay grade to begin with. So that's no for him.
Honestly, you don't have to like him to
You're
understand.
you're not actually far off. He is kind of a pathetic loser. He is a very, very bright man. He's a very, very smart man, but his manner of thinking and his view of the world is actually pretty pathetic. It's sort of it's very self-centered and egotistical, and the way he thinks is directly damaging to the relationships that he has with other people.
I would
And
say,
Well, the problem is that was it a second or third episode when they were trying to help the guy confess to the other girl and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
the first 3 episodes.
And he's just like, "Oh, here's me saving the guy because reasons."
yeah,
Like,
in reality,
no sense.
yeah. In reality, he should have just let it happen, let him get rejected, and live and learn from it. Because otherwise, he wouldn't have. He wouldn't. He wouldn't have. Otherwise, he doesn't have that experience. He doesn't learn and grow from it.
Not only that, but it's just stupid. Like, you're damaging your own reputation to begin with.
That was kind of the point.
Like, well, maybe I missed that. My bad.
No,
But it
no,
still looks pretty bad. Like, it doesn't make any sense that a guy who is very cynical will do anything like this.
Well, I think.
Very little favor.
Go ahead, Sugar.
Actually, coincidentally, even back in the first season, it's been shown he does go to lengths for others, but he uses himself as one would say as a lightning rod. Like, if I could maybe use one example from another series, like I was going to use Koji as, but probably that would be spoilery. But something happens at the end of it in which he becomes a magnet of hate for everyone because he ultimately wants the best for everyone except himself.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. On the surface, he seems very cynical and very selfish and egoist. But if that were the case, the behavior would not that he manifests would probably not be that of self-sacrifice with little concern for how it affects him, would it?
Yeah,
Well,
like
yeah.
he already knows how it's gonna. He already knows how it could work out for everyone else, but he sees no self worth in himself.
Yeah, the dude really, really fucking hates himself. It's like looking into a mirror because I sometimes had the feeling as well. I fucking hate myself as well.
But then
It's
in this
the
case,
I'll just fucking throw myself at the wall and then just fix the problem, and then the problem's gone, so I don't have to deal with it anymore. Kind of
That's his
mentality.
mindset. That's his
Yeah.
mindset.
So
but the
it's
thing is, it doesn't happen in the show.
well, and then
It does.
it does. Like you can see him. Like so, he's okay with destroying himself. He doesn't care. But what you're starting to see is that the people around him can't stand like seeing him like that. They can't stand him not having self-worth. And then that's where his character development is coming from, is he's actually making friends, and those people around him are like, I'm not going to let you continue to do this. I don't like
Yeah,
what you're
his
doing.
character development is him finally seeing his self-worth.
That people
That's sort of where the show's going.
that their concern for him comes from a genuine place, not to mislead him, use him as
Mhm.
such from a legitimate form of love.
Yeah.
When it was,
So, and this goes back to like it, the girl that rejected him like elementary school or middle school or whatever, um, because he thought that like she was interested in him, and she was just like, oh, like I'm just gonna be nice to everyone. I'm gonna be popular. Like, oh yeah, I'll take your phone number. Oh, I didn't get your message. You know, like I fell asleep early. Like all that stuff.
he
Um,
wants
he didn't get a genuine experience. He didn't like he thought that he was getting something genuine, but he was actually just getting led on, and because of that he never wants to feel that way again. So the only way that he'll open up now is if he feels that there's an actual genuine experience going on.
Yeah.
which is half the series it took to reach that point.
Yep.
Yeah, when the theme song legit has a line that says, "I don't want a replica. I want the real thing."
And what was the real thing was kind of a big arch word for the entire season. What
Yep.
is the real thing to Hachiman?
What is real? Like, is this real?
Yeah.
Am I real?
So all right, let's move on to the actual plot itself. Which is actually much more straightforward than the characters and their relationships and all of that. Because well, after all, this is a rom-com,
This is
and
more of a
rom-com plots are pretty simple.
Yep.
this is more of a drama than a romantic comedy, really.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
And better than it become a harem.
So the first season was definitely a rom-com. This is more of like a drama in the middle of it. The last season ends up more of a rom-com, so just keep that in mind. Um,
Oh,
this is very this is like the most dry season, but this is where you get like the most expedition. You get like um, them like trying to like figure out their own issues and like setting up for the last season. So
I'm fine with dry.
Yeah. So the plot of this season, it goes through several events, mainly like a couple field trips and the Christmas the Christmas event that the class president has to salvage and prevent from being a total bust.
Oh man, the guy who I'm gonna have to dive in real deep into this one, Neo, but
Okay,
the man who
we
was
have time.
the man who tried to organize that fucking event was not treating it like an event at all. This was more of a, according to him, a synergy. It was treated like a corporation more than anything else.
Well, that whole thing kind of reminded me of several uh, groups that I've been in on the internet where we were trying to like make something and do something, and really the meetings would go exactly the same as this, and nobody would take charge, and nothing would ever get done
It,
Yeah,
because nobody would take charge.
were
yeah,
any of you in any school clubs at all?
yes. I was in a couple.
Okay. This felt like a lot of club meetings whenever the teachers aren't around. Um, where it was like, okay, decide what you guys want to do, and then everyone's just like, well, I have this idea, I have this idea, I have this idea, and then nothing actually gets done. Um, and then you scramble at the end to try and like scrape something together. Um, this is pretty close to how the student council at my school worked. I sat in on like two other meetings because I was friends with people. And basically, what happens is with most student councils in schools, it's obviously like the popular kid gets elected because the smarter kids are usually, they aren't as popular. And then they're also like, why would I join student council? I'm just going to go study so that I can get into whatever school I want to get into. Like, I don't need to be part of the student council. That's a waste of time. So this
Uh,
basically ended up, if you noticed, the one guy talking was very good at getting all of his friends who were also part of the student council to agree with anything that he said, and no one wanted to step on his toes because he was probably the popular one at his school, while also trying to make sure that none of his friends got like felt like they were being pushed aside.
well, I will say that in elementary school, well, in my personal experience, I was in the environmental club. But outside that, I do get what Josh has said, and yes, it is in fact how student meetings actually go because I've been witness to a few
Hmm.
when I
Yeah,
was in high school.
yeah. It's kind of interesting. A, people really like to think that they're self motivated, and they're really not. Like nobody wants to admit this, but people need to be told what to do, or else nothing gets done.
Yeah, and if
Exactly.
That's how
there's
the
not a leader that's gonna take charge and actually be a leader, then yeah, absolutely nothing gets done. And that it was annoying. I think it's like all of us are adults now to like watch that, but that's how teenagers act. And that was a really real moment where it's frustrating for us, but to like most teenagers, they're probably like, yeah, I was in a meeting like that, and that's exactly what happened.
yeah.
So it's a
Um.
it's a real
Well,
learning
it
experience.
even happens with adults. Like if they're doing some sort of project together, that involves a group of other people that isn't like in like some corporation or something. It's just just a project people are doing because they want to. This kind of thing happens. And if nobody takes charge, nothing gets done. Is
Yeah,
that all the ideas can be thrown out in the uh, all the ideas in the world can be thought of, but if nobody's there to go, okay, this is what we're doing. We're doing this, and and that's what we're going to do. But
But
then nobody ever actually does anything.
here's the thing: it doesn't work like that because if I was in a meeting like that, I would say your plan fucking sucks. This plan sucks. You
Well-
don't have the fucking balls, my dude.
Well, then maybe in whatever meeting that is, you should be in charge.
No, I mean that. No, I mean that. It's more about
I should.
strategy than anything else. But I know what you're getting at.
I should. Yeah, maybe I should. Maybe I should have dragged you into some of the groups that I've been into.
Well, yeah, and just personally, like I've been in Hachiman's position where it's you don't want to be the leader, but then you see what's going on and you're like, well, I have to take charge now just because no one else will. Like whenever you're put in that position where it's like, okay, I can see nothing's getting done. All the people aren't going to be too afraid to bring it up. You just go, okay, well, this is actually what's going to get done now because none of you are willing to take charge. And now you actually have to listen to me because that's what's going on. And he could have done that, but he needed the support of his friends to be able to like feel like he even had like someone backing him. Because if he had no one
Yeah.
backing him, then there was like nothing he could do.
Yeah.
And then there's the constant word salad the guy the dude was actually throwing around. Like,
Oh my god, I hated that.
he
You
was
mean waxing
talking like
politically?
he was talking more like a senator or a fucking CEO than a goddamn high school student. Like, damn, dude.
Well,
Let's
a
get her,
a
you know, that
CEO
shit.
would. It's kind of funny. It's worse than a CEO because a CEO would probably make a decision and get something done.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I've worked with guys that talk like that were my boss, and I ended up doing most of the work. So, um, people like that are very good at getting into positions of power, not good at keeping them. So,
If he ever manages to get a position in a corporation, he's gonna be yeeted out the window the first minute he fails at it.
Well, you say that, but maybe he perhaps learned something from this experience and improved how he does things because he watched Hachiman save the school Christmas event. Maybe.
well, I mean, you even saw that a little bit where they did the uh, Valentine's Day event,
Oh
and
yeah,
it went a lot smoother. Like even though
yeah,
that was a much smaller event, and like they didn't need to organize as much, it was all done reasonably quickly. They got the fundings that they needed, and everything went through um, quickly. So, um, so
I let you thought it was interesting that they did a chocolate how should I say this? A chocolate
Chocolate rain.
no a chocolate making class in that event, so people could learn something, like take an interest in making in the confectionery business, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah, and we also saw some character development from Yui from that because in the first season her
Her-
cookies looked like charcoal, and then she kind of make these confectionaries in the Christmas event or the Valentine's Day event,
It was
and
Valentine's. Yeah,
they looked okay, but Hachiman didn't think they tasted all that great. And then in the end of the series or the end of the season, she gives Hachiman some cookies that she made,
well, let's
and
go.
they
What alert?
and yeah, and they look beautiful.
Yeah, she really took the effort to improve her cooking skills.
Yeah,
And
it really works out. So yeah, I let's move on to our final takes and scores, and wrap all this up.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so I usually go first, then we'll just throw everyone else in the middle, and then you'll end it, right? So if we're looking at this as just this season, I would say, this is an okay anime. It's not a comedy. It's not what it's advertised as. It is very much a drama. I think standing on itself, you could still start here, but you'd be missing a lot of context. But you could get through it if you skip the first season. Um, all of that aside, um, I think this is a better season than what, like, it's gonna end up exactly like what happened last time, which was the more we talked about it, the more I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about this and this and this. And the writing is so good that I can't not like this anime is the issue. How they interweave the personalities, how they set up the timing to make everything really awkward, to make like them like look away. Even Hachiman's like, why am I looking away right now? Like, what's going on? Um, it's way more interesting than other show like other shows whenever like they're going through their writing process. It's a lot more complex. It makes me think and it makes me try and figure out what the next step is that they're going to take. So while I think this was a downgrade from season 1, and I hope that's just season 2 issues, um, I still do enjoy the show, and I would probably give it a 7.5.
All right, Neko.
Well, unlike other people, I probably cannot separate this from the first season because, well, the second season of the show. As a standalone, it's probably better than the previous one, somewhat. Let's say the first one is about 5. This one is about 6.5 maybe. I still would not recommend this show nor the first season to anyone who wants to watch actual, genuine romance or a comedy romance or a drama romance. There's a better shows, just any of them. So yeah, it's bad.
All right, so your score was 6.
6, yeah.
Okay. Striker.
Okay. I'll be honest with you. The plot, the development, the character development alone actually is what made the show improve. Albeit, I do share Neko's. In the sense that this is not really something that everyone will like. This is a show that actually makes you think, and I'm not gonna say you need to have a high intellect to comprehend what is going on between the main characters, but it helps.
Morty.
Morty, I turned myself into a pickle. It's the funniest shit ever. No, but seriously, this is actually a step up from the first season, which I absolutely fucking hated. I'm still gonna give it. Let's put it 6.5. I did say if I were to watch the first season, it would have to be if someone pointed a gun to my head. If I were to watch all 13 episodes, including the OVA, but a couple of the scenes from a couple of the arcs really made the show step up. So my final score 6.5. Do watch the first season first if you want to get a hold of the first character, or read the wiki. If you want to watch a better comedy drama, you might as well watch something like Kaguya-sama Love is War instead.
Yep.
All right,
Or
Sugar.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Honestly, I decided to give it a 5.5. Like, it's only slight step up from season 1, which I gave just a flat 5. At the same time, it's nothing really changed significant for me to change my overall opinion on it. But I've seen that at least the protagonist is at least trying to see self-worth of himself, seeing people that do care about him. Although that whole relationship, I still feel with Yukino and Hayama, I found interesting, and I honestly thought they would have done something more with that season 2, but they didn't. The other characters have stayed the same, so from everything else, besides just the characters and writing, it's about average. Same as the first season.
All right. That just leaves me. Um, as far as this show goes, I mean, my thoughts are more or less the same as the first season. It's not something like if I wasn't watching it for the podcast, I wouldn't have watched it. And that's not because I'm like not into like shoujo rom-coms or dramas or anything. I am. I like them. Um, but it's the characters themselves don't really capture me or make me all that interested. And there's just the plot isn't really much to write home about. That being said, the it is a very it is a very smart show. It is it is the writing is pretty clever, and I respect it for that. And I think it's pretty well made. Is it, you know, is it going to be like this classic that everybody remembers, like like some of the legendary stuff of old? No, I don't think so. But shows like that nowadays are pretty rare anyway. Uh, I'd say if you watched the first season and you were really into it, watch the second season. It's decent, um, and it's more of what you like, with and going in more in depth into the characters and their relationships. It's everything a second season really should be. So I'm gonna give it a 7. Yeah, 7.
All right, so divide that by 5. All right, so our average is a 6.5, which is about right for what everyone was saying. Nia, I can't remember what you rated the first season. Did you like this more or less than the first season? I was just wondering.
I don't remember.
Okay. Um, because it seems like me and you, I think we liked the first season more, or gave it at least a higher score. And then we're down on it, but uh, the rest of the group said that this was better than the first season, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
I found I think I was probably having more fun watching the first season because I was bored through a lot of this season.
I think the issue, and I think this ran in the both of us, which was it's lacking the comedy, and that was the thing that like really kind of threw it off for everyone. But yeah, so um, looking at the MAL, they gave it an 8.28, which just kind of consider that the first season is going to be the people that just watched the first season too that are also bringing it down. And the first season was rated an 8.07 with about what 100,000 more ratings. So
Man, the shilling is real.
so yeah, like as you go through a show, it's always going to be a little higher from the people that are like, you know, that are reviewing it. So
Yeah. Um.
just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think most of the people who watch this are more into this kind of thing than we are. I mean, I'm sort of into I'm more into retro anime. I like action anime. Um, I can't speak for anyone else, but
Yeah.
I imagine if RJ was here, he'd get kind of he'd be kind of annoyed that he had to watch this. He doesn't like this kind of thing at all.
Well, he liked it the first season. I think the second season's just a little too dry for him too. So
Yeah.
yep.
Uh, in my case, I am more into comedy, and the more retarded, the better. I think I'm fucking stupid like that. I do like action as well as a next guy, yes, and well, I do agree that sometimes you can't be the old school. That's a fact. But this show, this show was a bit difficult to finish.
Yeah.
That's
Anyway,
was
we are actually over time right now.
Yep.
So let's all say goodnight. I hope everyone has had a good month. I hope the month of January makes everybody happy and warm and fuzzy inside.
It's my birthday. Buy me gifts. No kidding. All right.
Yes, buy Josh gifts.
Yep. My Amazon wish list is L39. Okay. Anyway. All right.
What
Yeah,
are we,
we'll just
trash
wrap it
taste?
up right here.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Yep. Good night.
Happy New Year, lads and
Happy